No one expected this as NHL Insider Darren Dreger drops a bombshell of a trade report, leaving some question marks heading into this season. But first, Canucks Captain Quinn Hughes is snubbed by the NHL with their latest awards announcement. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest. But first, if you're enjoying this Canucks content, you want to help us reach our goal of 7,400 subscribers. We're nearly there. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates when they drop. And with that, let's hop straight into the first topic of the day, which is that Quinn Hughes is snubbed. So on Wednesday morning, the league announced that Colorado Avalanche defenseman Cale Makar as the winner of the 2024-2025 James Norris Trophy, awarded to the league's best all-around defenseman. Hughes finished behind both Makar and Columbus Blue Jackets defenseman Zach Werenski. Hughes picked up just 2 first-place votes out of the 191 ballots counted, while Makar and Werenski earned 176 and 13 respectively. The majority of votes cast for the Canucks captain were third-place votes, as 110 voters had Hughes in that slot on their ballots. 39 voters had Hughes second, 21 had him fourth, and 12 had him at fifth, with 7 voters leaving Hughes off their ballot entirely. Now, this is pulled from Canucks Army. If you want to view the full list of ballots and breakdowns, they have it on their website if you guys want to go and check it out there. But overall, Quinn Hughes being snubbed for a second consecutive Norris Trophy, trying to repeat from last year, and the Canucks tried to make a case for him the other day on social media, posting his stats for the season, where his 60 assists were the second most assists by an NHL defenseman. He was third most in points by an NHL defenseman with 76, and he was tied for the 6th most goals by NHL defenseman with 16. And then furthermore as well, he was second most average time on ice by NHL defenseman, and he missed 14 games but finished top 10 in defenseman with goals, assists, and points in back-to-back 75-plus point seasons. I mean, what more could you want? I know that the Canucks did not have the outlook that they wanted heading at the end of this season, but it was a lot of expectations. But Quinn Hughes absolutely delivered on that. And even when things were at their lowest for the Canucks, Quinn Hughes was always that bright spot. There was maybe 1 or 2 games here and there, but every dog is going to have its day. However, Quinn Hughes undoubtedly was the best player on the ice for the Vancouver Canucks all season. And looking at those stats, considering he missed 14 games, to be in those ranks, absolutely insane. And if he had played all 82 games, no doubt in my mind he would have repeated as the Norris and possibly made a case for the Hart Trophy, because even with the Canucks struggles all year, if you had a guy like that play all 82 games, be first among the NHL defense, because he would have been first in all of those rankings, I guarantee it, had he played all those 14 games that he missed. He would have been in all those rankings, he would have had all the intangibles he would have needed, and he would have been proven to be the most valuable player for that Vancouver Canucks team. So it would have been a very good case for the Hart, and definitely would have sealed a second consecutive Norris Trophy. But with all this happening, he was not able to repeat, did not get the votes he needed by his peers in the NHL. So now he is going to have to go on a revenge tour next year and play with a chip on his shoulder to try and get not only the Norris Trophy, not only the playoffs, but trying to get a Stanley Cup to Vancouver while he is here for the next couple of years at least, before there is the big question of, will he be traded or will he stay in Vancouver once his contract is up? So those are all things that remain to be seen with Quinn Hughes, and unfortunately he will not be taking home a second consecutive Norris Trophy. But let us know what you guys have to say about it in the comments. Do you think that Quinn Hughes was snubbed, or do you think because of the Canucks season this year that he was appropriately not winning the Norris Trophy? I know it's going to be a very one-sided opinion in the comments, and there might be some guys who don't jump to the fence of, hey, he wasn't playing all those games, so it makes sense to give it to Makar. But at the end of the day, we are Canucks fans, so we're probably going to side with the fact that Quinn Hughes should have won a Norris Trophy. I know he definitely should have, despite having missed those games. I still think he had a pretty phenomenal season. Let us know what you guys have to say about it in the comments below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is that Darren Dreger dropped a bombshell. So apparently Filip Hronek's whirlwind season could have taken another major turn shortly after he was traded by the New York Rangers to the Vancouver Canucks on January 31st. Reportedly, just 5 weeks after the Rangers moved the 2017 first-round pick, Hronek was nearly flipped by the Canucks to the Ottawa Senators as part of a package to land center Josh Norris. Speaking on the Sekeres and Price podcast today, saying that the Canucks were pretty close on Josh Norris with the Ottawa Senators at the time. It would have been Filip Hronek, and it would have been a draft pick that would have gone the way of the Ottawa Senators. Now, unfortunately, that didn't happen, and I don't know what came unglued, but at the time, that was a player that then Canucks coach Rick Tocchet really liked, fit the system, the style of play, and can skate in all of those things. And yes, all these things were very apparent throughout the first bit of since Filip Hronek got there. Ultimately, the Senators did trade Norris, just not to the Canucks. They moved him right before the NHL trade deadline on March 7, along with defenseman Jacob Bernard-Docker, to the Buffalo Sabres for center Dylan Cousins, defenseman Dennis Gilbert, and a second-round pick in the 2025 draft. When Hronek was acquired from the Rangers as part of the return for JT Miller, he was excited for the opportunity to be second-line center behind Elias Pettersson. His ice time with the Canucks increased by 2 minutes to 16:42 from what he received as a third-line center with the Rangers, and Hronek got more of a chance to play on the power play as well. Now, obviously, this did not happen, and we are now in the reality track of what did happen. So what happened was that Filip Hronek scored a goal in his Canucks debut against the Detroit Red Wings on February 2nd and had 5 points, 1 goal, 4 assists in his first 7 games after the trade. Yet, despite the positive reviews from Tocchet and co., it appears that behind the scenes the Canucks were looking to use Hronek to make an upgrade at 2C. Norris had 20 goals in 53 games heading into the trade deadline and scored 35 goals for the Senators in 2021 and 2022. Filip Hronek set NHL career highs with 22 goals, 23 assists, 45 points in 22-23, and 11 goals and 20 points in 41 games before the Rangers shipped him off to Vancouver. Now, obviously, his season of tumultuous things did not stop there, because his season still took a sideways turn after he sustained a concussion in a game against the Chicago Blackhawks on March 15th and did not play again the rest of the season, and there was no suspension really handed out for that awful dirty hit. Filip Hronek had 1 point as a goal in his final 8 games and finished with 6 points, 2 goals, 4 assists in 15 games with the Canucks. Obviously not what they were wanting, but injury derailed it. Reportedly, Hronek was feeling better by the end of the season, even though the Canucks were cautious with the 25-year-old and continued to hold him out of the lineup because of his prior history with head injuries. Hronek had several concussions with the Rangers and only played 10 regular season games in 23-24 due to a frightening head injury. So Hronek is once again dealing with the familiar health issues this offseason, compounded by the fact that it appears that the Canucks tried to trade him mere weeks after acquiring him. It would appear the Canucks now view him as a 3C because of a rumor swirling that they are shopping for a better 2C this summer. Now, as far as the better 2C, we are going to be dropping a video on that tomorrow, so you guys won't want to miss that. But overall, this is a lot to digest from Darren Dreger, where we had kind of been hearing rumblings and rumors about the potential of a Filip Hronek trade before the trade deadline. Even after the trade deadline, there was still some rumors kind of circulating, but now Darren Dreger confirms it here and now. He was one of the ones that was initially breaking this rumor back in a few months ago. We hopped on it, we were covering it, we were kind of dropping little references to it here and there as far as the Canucks were thinking about moving some guys out. We were always through Filip Hronek in there as a possibility for that because of the prior history and just hearing what the Canucks were trying to do with that. Now, with this, do I think that Filip Hronek is now off the trade block? Absolutely not. I think he is considered on that trade block as much as anybody could be that isn't one of the main superstars or the long-term contract extensions on this team. Now, with that, I think that Filip Hronek did prove to be a great fit for this Canucks system. Tocchet really liked him. Foote seems to really like him as well. And the Canucks organization did not move on from him, especially when the injury happened. They were almost forced to bring him back. Kind of like the Derek Forbort scenario, where I think they definitely wanted Forbort because of the penalty kill. However, when he got injured, that was the kind of thing where the Canucks were looking at going, damn, that kind of hurts the resale value on that a little bit. We can get him a bit cheaper now, but as far as another team trying to take him off our hands, that won't happen. Thankfully, the Canucks viewed that as a positive rather than a negative. They were able to get him for a $2 million deal, and it worked out for the better in that sense, where they got him on a really good deal despite that injury, probably. But this is something where now the Canucks are looking at it going, okay, Hronek, you're coming back from injury. We're going to embrace you and say, hey, you're our guy. But we've seen this happen how many times where the Canucks have embraced a player, said that, yeah, we love this guy, he's a great fit for this team, and then they ship him out. We've seen it happen many times just in the past 2 years since Allvin and Rutherford got there. So now this is a scenario where I don't think that this means that Filip Hronek is off the trade block by any stretch of the imagination. I think we could potentially see him get moved during the offseason, but I think this is a scenario where the Canucks definitely want to see what he has to prove back on the ice now that he's back from injury, and I think a lot of other teams will want to see that as well, because trying to pawn him off in the middle of the offseason right now after coming off an injury and teams don't know how he's going to play again on the ice, that's not going to be a lot of sale value as far as other teams are concerned and what the Canucks could get for him. So you wait till the season starts, see how he performs, see if you can get what you were really wanting out of him before that injury. Then you can kind of go from there and assess how you want to go as far as the trade deadline goes, because that is still a long ways away. A lot of things can happen. We saw just how much moves the Canucks made just early on in the season. We saw how fast Daniel Sprong was brought in and shipped out before the season really even got going. So, and as well as Danton Heinen as well, there were some other guys that they brought in and they shipped them out just as quick as they got here. So I don't know if this is going to be necessarily the case for Filip Hronek, but I do have a strange feeling that we are going to see him get traded, or at least in the very little, we are going to see some reinforcements come in as a permanent 2C spot. So you guys don't want to miss on who we think that could be and what the reports are saying. So stay tuned for that video dropping tomorrow. But let us know what you guys have to say about all this down in the comments below. From the Quinn Hughes being snubbed, if you guys think he was snubbed, all the way to Filip Hronek potentially have been traded at the trade deadline. Do you think you guys would have rather have had that trade work out with Cousins or with Norris, or are you happy that we ended up with Filip Hronek and are excited to see what he can do for this season coming up? Let us know what you guys have to say about it down in the comments below, but that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.